Welcome! In this short video, we'll review the roles of the Business Continuity Chief, IT Team Leader, and Human Resources Team Leader, how they work together, and the tools to help your organization be ready to respond. First, let's review the disaster response staffing chart, its overall structure, and how these three roles fit into it. The chain of command is headed by the Incident Commander. The Business Continuity section is led by the Business Continuity Chief, who oversees the IT and Human Resources team leaders. These team leaders work together and report to the Business Continuity Chief during section meetings and throughout a disaster. The Business Continuity Chief also works with the Incident Commander and other chiefs to collect and share vital information. The Business Continuity section makes sure key business, IT, and staff operations function throughout a disaster. The Ready to Respond toolkit provides specific job action packets for each role, including a job description, job action sheet, and tools tailored to each role. Job descriptions detail the primary responsibilities of each role. Job action sheets include specific tasks to be completed over 8 operational periods, before, during, and after a disaster. Created in Microsoft Word, these can be easily adapted to your organization's needs. Tools include guides, worksheets, and checklists to help successfully complete each role. Now, let's look at the three roles and the resources to support them. The Business Continuity Chief maintains vital business records, understands the organization's cash needs and insurance coverage, and oversees important financial matters. Before a disaster, the Business Continuity Chief should meet with insurance agents to review the organization's insurance policies, compile and store vital business records, and determine which staff will have access to funds for disaster-related purchases. When a disaster hits, the Business Continuity Chief stays current with financial obligations, provides funds for purchases, holds meetings with team leaders, and shuts down the main business office if necessary. In addition to the job description and job action sheet, tools to support the Business Continuity Chief's role include the Vendor Partner Contact List, which gathers contact information for key vendors and partners essential to the organization. The Insurance Coverage Guide and Worksheet help determine if insurance coverage is sufficient to protect the organization, its buildings, and residents in the event of a disaster. The Vital Records Guide and Worksheet, which guide in assembling, storing, and protecting vital records. The Benefits and Reimbursement Guide, providing information about sources for funding after a disaster. The Office Shutdown Checklist, including tasks to complete when shutting down offices. And the Payment Card Guide and Worksheet, with guidelines on using payment cards for disaster-related purchases and tracking staff members with access to payment cards. The IT Team Leader takes all action necessary to ensure the continuity of communications technology and computer systems. Before a disaster, the IT Team Leader should inventory critical IT equipment, perform IT security assessments, and test the equipment which will be needed to stay in communication during a disaster. When a disaster hits, the IT Team Leader ensures vital records are backed up to a cloud server, ensures that staff members have access to necessary communications hardware, and restores IT if there are interruptions. In addition to the job description and job action sheet, tools to support the IT Team Leader's role include the IT Equipment Inventory Worksheet, which tracks critical IT and telecommunications equipment. It should be updated regularly and can be used to quickly order or repair equipment damaged if a disaster hits. The IT Continuity Checklist includes tasks to complete during the planning phase before a disaster hits. The Human Resources Team Leader provides information necessary to support the optimal deployment of staff and volunteers for disaster response and recovery. Before a disaster, the Human Resources Team Leader should review employee contracts and work policies, gather staff contact information, and determine the organization's volunteer needs. When a disaster hits, the Human Resources Team Leader issues work policies, provides emergency updates to staff, and instructs staff to document work hours and expenses related to the disaster. In addition to the job description and job action sheet, tools to support the human resource leader's role include The Staff Communications Guide, which describes how to send and receive information to and from staff members before, during, and after an emergency. The Staff Contact Sheet, which includes important staff contact information. It should be filled out by staff members before a disaster and updated regularly. The Disaster-Related Hours and Expenses Worksheet, which documents hours worked and expenses incurred during a disaster. Staff members will attach receipts to the worksheet and return it to the Human Resources team leader for reimbursement. The Volunteer Guide helps your organization recruit and use volunteers for disaster response. The Volunteer Sign-In Sheet helps track volunteers and their work at different sites. And the Volunteer Agency Tracking Sheet lists contact information on volunteers and services available to help your organization during a disaster. It should be updated regularly. Thank you for watching. Now you're one step closer to being ready to respond.